Hi, and welcome to NicheCraft. My name is Cassie, and I'm your host, and we are on stitch 4 of the Magic Memory Crochet Along Afghan. So this Afghan is a stitch sampler style Afghan. We have 3 colors, and we are going to be learning 8 stitches, so we are halfway through here. And when we make a stitch, when we make a block, we take the stitch that we're learning. In this case, it's called the crossed ripple stitch, okay, and we make 3 blocks of that stitch, okay, in the 3 different colors we have, okay, and the crochet along is relatively slow paced, which is good because if you have not joined yet, you can still join. The next video is going to be posted on September 1st. So we post a video every other Thursday. So that gives you plenty of time to make your 3 squares for that 2-week period. All right. And for those of you who want to join now, just know I am going to post the link to the Magic Memory Crochet Along Afghan, the introduction, so you can figure out how to pick your colors. This is kind of a fun way of picking your colors. And then you can just go to that playlist at any time and learn the next stitch. And you can go at your own pace. So I am going to put every single one of these stitches in that playlist so that even if you're not following along in real time, you can still do the Magic Memory Crochet Along. Now for those of you who don't want to do the crochet along, just want to learn a stitch, then you're in the right place. We are going to learn this cross ripple stitch. Now this stitch is something that I would classify as a intermediate stitch, but that does not mean that a beginner cannot do it. This plays on some of the things that we've already learned from the alpine stitch, okay? So this is going to be very similar to that. And now before I start, because I'm about to start this tutorial, I just want to say if you are new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe and hit that notification bell. I have a lot of giveaways, at least 2 every month, plus more, you know, with holidays and all of that kind of stuff. Every so often I have more, and you're not going to want to miss those, okay? So I do have a giveaway going right now, so at the end of this video, make sure you go check it out. I'll remind you at the end of the video, okay? And again, hit that notification bell so you can find out if you were the winner. And I also have other stitch tutorials. I'm going to be showing a lot of tutorials on how to make wearables for the fall and the winter season. And I have Mystery Box Monday, which, you know, it's one of my favorite days. I think it could be yours if you're not subscribed yet. There's one more thing, guys. I'm sorry. I'm going to zoom out a little bit so you can see. Okay, so I am using this stitch from a book that I have, okay? And again, it's called the Crossed Ripple Stitch, and it is in this book. The book is called the Crochet Stitch Dictionary, 200 Essential Stitches with Step-by-Step Photos. It's by Sarah Hazel. And I did a flip through and review of this craft book earlier on my channel. I'm going to add a 3rd link to the video for the flip through and review of this book. That way you can see whether or not it might be a book that you're interested in. Okay, so I just wanted to go ahead and remind you of that. So again, in the description box, you will get the introduction video to the Magic Memory Crochet Along. That's how to pick your colors. You'll get the crochet along playlist so you can find out all the stitches we're using, and you will get the link to a review of this book, okay? And that's where I am drawing this cross ripple pattern from. All right, so that said, for those of you in the crochet along, we are going to chain 39 stitches. So far all of our blocks have been 36 stitches, okay? We're going to chain 39 chains, let me put it that way. And this calls for a chain of a multiple of 3 plus 2 plus 1, okay, for the foundation. Now, why don't I say a multiple of 3 and just leave it at that? Well, it's because we've got a multiple of 3, and then we need 2 more stitches to frame it, okay? And that'll be a double crochet on either side basically, okay? And then the 1 is our turning chain for the first row. Okay, so what I want you to do is go ahead and grab your yarn. If you're in the crochet along, go ahead and chain up 39 stitches, and if you're not in the crochet along, go ahead and chain up a multiple of 3, knowing that the last 3 count as really 2 stitches. Okay, and I will see you soon and show you how to do row 1. All right, so I have my 39 chains. Hopefully you have your chains that you made. And what we're going to do is we're going to identify the second chain from the hook. So we ignore the chain on the hook. We don't even count that one. Okay, then there's that first chain. We don't go into that chain. We go into the second chain from the hook. And we are going to make a single crochet. All right, pull up a loop and then pull through 2. Okay. Now, in every single following chain, we are going to put a single crochet. Okay, so remember that the repeat row is row 3 and 4. So the first 2 rows is going to set up a foundation for the rest of this pattern repeat. Okay, so I just wanted to let you know that this is part of how we set the foundation for this pattern. So what we're going to do is we are going to put a single crochet in every single chain until we get to the end, and when we get into the end, I'll show you how to do row 2. See you there. Hi there, so I am at the end of row 1, which was just a row of single crochets. Now if yours is twisting around like this, no worries, that is normal for the first single crochet row. You're fine. So I want to address something right away that I just realized I didn't mention, and that is we have been doing these with 36 stitches across for the crochet along. This pattern did not allow for me to make a pattern with 36 stitches across because of the way that because of the stitch multiple. But I wanted to include this in the stitch sampler blanket. Just want to make sure you guys know that I've already planned for that, and when we go to join this square with the other squares, we'll be able to do that without any kind of problem. I've already thought of that. So I just wanted to address that before we kept going, because I didn't want anybody to worry like, oh, there's 38 stitches in this one. How are we going to work that, huh? So just so you know, there's a way, and I will show it to you. So now we are on the second row. And I'm just going to say the second row is going to be a little bit awkward, okay? But I'm going to make sure that I explain it as well as I possibly can, okay? So at the end of row 1, we are going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And we're going to turn. Okay, so this chain 3 right here counts as our first double crochet. So this stitch at the very bottom of it, if we turn the work like this, you'll see that stitch at the very bottom, that doesn't count as a stitch, okay? Because this is the equivalent of a double crochet, so we don't even count that as a stitch because this is a double crochet that's theoretically in that stitch, okay? So when we count the next stitch, we are going to count not the one at the bottom here, okay? But we're going to start with these, okay? So we're going to skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, and in the third stitch, that's where we're going to put a double crochet. All right, so we skip 2. In this third stitch, we're going to put a double crochet. All right, so here we have our double crochet. You might have to pull that up a little bit high so you can reach the same height as that chain 3 space, okay? All right, so now we have our first double crochet. So the next thing that we're going to do is actually going to be very easy. We chain 1, okay? But after we chain 1, it's gonna look harder than it actually is, okay? And I'm gonna try to describe this to you as easily as possible. So if you look back on those 2 stitches we skipped, you can see 1, 2 stitches that are skipped, okay? So instead of going forward like we normally would do when we're crocheting, we're gonna go backwards. We're gonna yarn over, and we're gonna do a double crochet into that first skip stitch, okay? And so we yarn over and we put the crochet hook in that first skipped stitch right here, okay? So from the back, this is what it looks like, okay? And then there's a skip stitch, and that's the stitch we just stitched that into. So I've got, the way that I'm holding this yarn, the way that I can pull it through is by wrapping it around that double crochet stitch right there and then pulling it up through that stitch. So I just pulled it back up through that first skip stitch. Now I have 3 loops on my hook. I'm going to pull through 2, then I'm going to pull through 2 again. And this is what we're going to repeat all the way to the end. So let me keep showing. I'm going to show you how to do it again though. All right, so now we skip 2, 1, 2, and in this third stitch, we're going to put a double crochet. You might want to go ahead and pull it up so that it matches where we were before, okay? Now we're going to chain 1. Okay, you always chain in between the double crochets. And then you're going to yarn over, find that first skip stitch, which is right here, okay? And you're going to put your hook through that first skip stitch. Okay, this is what it looks like from behind, and it looks a little bit hard. It's hard to tell from the beginning. It's from the front. So from behind the work, this is what it'll look like. You take the yarn, kind of wrap it around, you pull it up. Okay, now you've got 2 stitches on your hook. You're going to pull, or 3 stitches on your hook, or 3 loops. Pull through 2 and then pull through 2 again, just like we're doing a regular double crochet. All right, I'm going to do it one more time, but I'm not gonna be talking you through it. Just showing you. Skip 2, and here is the stitch that we'll be doing. This time I won't get so excited about it. All right, so we are going to continue to make these X's until we get to the very end. And when we get into the very end, this last stitch right here, we're going to make 1 double crochet into that one. So we will put, this will be the last X. That will be one of the legs of the X right there, and then we'll have 1 left over, and that's where we put a double crochet. But don't worry, when I get to the end of this, I will show you how to do it, and I will meet you here, okay? And then I will show you how to do row 3. All right, meet you there. All right, so I have done these little crosses all the way across, and you'll notice that there are these gaps here. Don't have to worry about that. Those are going to fill in when we get to the 4th row, okay? And we are just at the end of this 3rd row, so I have 1 more stitch left at the end. So I am going to put a regular double crochet in there, just a regular boring old double crochet. And the effect that it has, again, is to just kind of frame it here. Let me go ahead and zoom out so you can see. Whoops, wrong way. Yeah, so you can see how we've got a double crochet equivalent on this side and a double crochet equivalent on that side. So it just serves as a nice frame for this stitch, okay? I will zoom back in though, because now I'm going to show you how to do row 3. So remember, row 3 and 4 is the pattern repeat, okay? So this is going to be the pattern repeat. We're going to chain 1 and turn, okay? Now, if you look on top of here, we've got the 2 posts, okay, here and here, and then we've got that chain space in between. Sorry, 2 posts here, and then we've got the chain space in between, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to first actually go into this first stitch, okay, on top of that double crochet. So we make a single crochet on top of that double crochet. And just like with the alpine stitch, when we are making our single crochets, we're on the quote-unquote wrong side of the work. Okay, so I just wanted to also tell you guys that there is a right and a wrong side in this stitch pattern. So we're going to go into the first stitch here, or the second stitch, which is the top of one of those X's here. Okay, then we're going to do a single crochet in around that space, just like that. We're going to do another single crochet on the top, the other top. Okay, then we're going to do that for every cross. We're going to do 1 in the chain space, 2 at the top, 3. Okay, and we're going to just continue to make single crochets all the way down the row, and just know that you'll have 3 single crochets per X. Okay, and then when we get to the very end, we'll put a last single crochet in this turning chain, and I'll meet you when we get there. Okay, so basically we have another row of single crochets, but this is a pattern repeat, because and when we get to row 4, you're going to find that you'll be making the same kind of style. It's not going to be exactly the same. It's going to be a little bit easier actually, but it's going to be the same kind of style because we're making these crosses. Okay, and I will meet you at the end of row 3, and then we can learn the second row of the pattern repeat with row 4. I'll see you there. Alright guys, I'm back, and as you can see, I have put a single crochet all the way across, and I went into the top of that last X, and now I've got to put another single crochet right here in the third loop of the chain 3 turning chain. Okay, so I'm going to put a single crochet there. Alright, so we are ready to learn row 4, and again, row 3 and 4 is a pattern repeat. Okay, so here we go. We are going to chain up 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to turn. Just like with the alpine stitch, this is the front side. Okay, right here, this is the front side of the pattern. Okay, so we are going to skip this stitch that's at the very base of that, because this counts as a double crochet that's coming out of that stitch. Okay, we're going to skip 2 like with normal, and now we're going to yarn over, and we're going to do a double crochet in that third chain. Okay, or in that third stitch. So again, this is at the bottom right here. Okay, this is a double crochet, and this is the bottom. Skip 2, go into that third, and do a double crochet into there, and you might want to have to pull that up just a little bit so you have enough ease there. So here's the part that is going to be very familiar to you guys who have done the alpine stitch, and it's the only thing that makes this even remotely hard. So once you make your first double crochet, then you're going to chain 1. Okay, you always chain 1 in between the double crochets. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to yarn over, and we're going to go down, not to the row before, which was these single crochets here, but we're going to go down to this row right here. Okay, and around this part, okay, this part of that X from the row before, we're going to push it to the front. Okay, so we're going to do a front post double crochet all the way down 2 rows below. Okay, just skip that one, push this to the front, and now we are going to pull up a loop. You might have to pull it up kind of high. Then we're going to pull through 2, then we're going to pull through 2 again, and that is how this starts closing up for us. Okay, So now this first row is going to have a little bit of gaps, and again, we're going to sew that together, so we're not going to have any problems with that. But now we are going to do the exact same thing, okay? So we skip 2 stitches. We're going to yarn over, make a double crochet into that next stitch right there, okay? So we've got that. Now we are going to chain 1. We always chain 1 in between the double crochets, yarn over, go back to the X from before, this top part right here, that's where you're going to push to the front, and you're going to do a front post double crochet around that. Okay. So essentially, this is what our pattern ends up looking like. And just to compare it to the book, that's what it's supposed to look like there. Okay, so what you're going to end up doing is making these diagonals. It's almost like, even though you can kind of see them right here, it's almost like that first part of the X doesn't even really matter. It's just these diagonals that go here, because that's where we're doing the front post, okay? So I'm going to stay with you here, and we're going to do one more. So you skip 2, double crochet in the top, okay? Now you're going to chain 1, yarn over, go all the way down to the bottom to this stitch, okay? Because normally we were going to go into the first of the 2 that we skipped. We don't do that anymore. Now we go around this first stitch here, and you make the rest of that double crochet as a front post double crochet right there. And you'll see that as we continue to do this, this whole block is just going to start filling up, because when we go back and we do this single crochet row, you know, by repeating the 3rd row, we're going to fill in these gaps, so we're not going to have any gaps in our fabric, and it makes a really nice texture. Very similar, very similar to that alpine stitch texture. Okay, so we are we are going to, I'm going to show you how to do this one more time. You skip 2, go into the top of that X, okay? All right, chain 1, yarn over, go back to the top of this X that you're working on top of right here, and we're going to do a front post double crochet 2 rows down. So when you pull up this loop, you're going to want to kind of pull on it a little bit, same way as when you did the alpine stitch, so that the curling won't be as strong. Now you'll notice that as you make this, it's going to want to curl up like that. See how mine's doing that? If it curls up, don't worry, you don't have to do anything differently, because we are going to be blocking these before we sew them together. And I recently got some blocking boards. Thank you so much to the subscriber who went to the channel wish list and bought that for me. I really appreciate it, because I was going to have to buy it myself if I didn't get it. And those blocking boards, I'm going to show you exactly how to block, and you don't even need blocking boards to block with, okay? You can use the items around your home, but I'm going to show you how to block. So even if this does curl up, don't worry about it. All right, so what we're going to do is I'm going to just zoom out here so that you can see. I always go the wrong way first. Okay, so I am going to just show you real quick. Skip 2, and then we do a regular double crochet right there, and then yarn over and do the front post right around the front post of that bottom stitch right there. And so we are continuing to make this really lovely like diagonal stitch here, and when we go back and we do our 3rd row repeat, which will be on the 5th row, then we just fill that back in, and this is what the wrong side's going to be looking like, okay? For those of you who wondered, say there's a wrong side here, and this is what the right side's going to be looking like, okay? So you have everything you need to know to continue and finish this block or whatever your project you're working on or your swatch. Just remember that when you come to the end here, you're going to need to make a double crochet in this stitch, okay, in this single crochet stitch. And you will always start with a double crochet. On the double crochet rows, you'll always start with chaining up 3, and then you'll end by putting a double crochet in that very last stitch, because you'll always have 1 stitch remaining, okay? And then just go back and rewatch row 3 for the repeat, and you are good to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue to work this in all 3 of my colors, and I'm going to work this until this block right here is a square, okay? And we can tell that by folding over the edge, okay, to the top, and it should make a perfect triangle. And so when we have that square done, then we will be ready for the 5th stitch. I hope you enjoyed this crossed ripple stitch. Just want to remind you guys to go get into that giveaway, find the video. It's called My Favorite Things giveaway. That's the one that I have up right now, but if you're watching this at a later date, just know I always have giveaways up, so you'll be able to find one, and go ahead and enter to win that. And remember, subscribe, like this video if you thought that I was clear with my instructions. I know it's kind of a weird stitch, okay, so it might not be perfectly clear, but I tried to spell it out as best as I could. So go ahead and like the video, leave me a comment, and let me know what you think about the stitch. I'm always interested to know what you guys think about these beautiful stitches that I'm teaching you. Thank you guys so much for watching to the end. I will see you soon in another video. Bye for now.